Hello and welcome to an album a day, day 302 on my journey through my vinyl collection, winding down to the last couple of albums I have to chat with you guys about. For now, we've got two more. I got a couple on the way, but I'm actually not sure when they're going to get here. I was thinking that one was arriving yesterday, which seemed a little quick, and I double checked the website, and it's actually awaiting the sender to send it. So they had already put in an anticipated arrival date for a package they don't even have. So the post office can be a little confusing sometimes. However, grateful for all that they do. Today we're talking about something a little interesting, a little different for my collection. Within my vinyl collection, one of the artists that I was collecting and still have a couple to go. One is incredibly elusive. It looks like a very small run, and it's very expensive if you can find it, especially in the United States. I'm talking about my favorite New Age artist, Patrick O'Hearn. This is the 1990 release Mix Up, which is a really interesting thing. We're going to get into that in a second, but first let's take a look at what I have here, because condition-wise, this is, about as perfect as you're going to find, except for it was in the bargain bin. You can tell by the notch over here. They used to have these little punches that they would just punch the thing and you'd get the notch, and people that worked at the record store would know that this was indeed a discount. This all started because people would take price tags off of one thing, put it on another, and try and get something for a much lower price. Really sad commentary on society, but it is what it is. That's what happened. If we don't take history as, this is where we were at the time. This is what people did. People probably would still do that if everything wasn't so scannable. I don't know. Maybe they're even doing that with barcodes. I have no idea. But what we get on this is something interesting. So, okay, first of all, this jacket is in absolutely stellar condition, except for that. Not even the slightest of wear. It still has the original cellophane on it, beautifully cut, even the edge, absolutely perfect. You get the hype sticker, which is nice. On the back, again, very colorful. This is actually very different for Patrick for his album cover, so I kind of wonder how much he was involved in this. What we get on the let me show you the vinyl, because it is on that beautiful Private Music label. I love this sticker. I think part of it is because this was such an early influence company for me that, I like the logo, but I think there's a little bit probably subconscious stuff to it. Also, I really wanted to be on their label, and unfortunately that never happened. Interestingly, the very first time I went to California, I had a little bit of downtime. The friends that I was staying with had to go to work. So during that day, I decided to, that was up in Camarillo, and I decided to drive down to LA and go visit a few places. And one of the places I wanted to visit was Private Music, because that's where they had their corporate office. So like the genius, naive musician I was at the time, I go to their parking lot, I park my car, I'm all excited, I'm all nervous, don't know what's going to happen, but you know what? I'm going full steam on my career. And I find a payphone, I call them, and I say, hey, I'm in town, I would love to meet with you guys, can I come up? And they asked me if I was a music attorney. They only dealt with music attorneys. Well, here I am, 21, 22 years old, 23, whatever I was at the time, probably 23 or 24. And I didn't know any music attorneys, I didn't have money for a music attorney, so that's how that went. But anyway, it almost went somewhere. Anyway, they didn't last long, and they sold out to another company anyway, so who knows what would have happened. But so what we get on this is it's pretty interesting. We get a couple of songs that I have a very close connection to. We have Fire Ritual, which I love, April Fool, which I love, Journey to Europa, which I love, Black Delilah, one of my favorites from him. That's just side A. On side B, we get The Illusionist, another one. I had quite the dream when I had the flu listening to that song. Then we have Wired Up, and then I don't know this one, at least not by title, and I can't even print it. Had a something field day, and then I can't read that because the bubble's in the way. I wonder if it says on here. Well, it'd help if I picked the right side, wouldn't it? Let's see. Oh, Chattahoochee Field Day is the second track, and then So Saxy. So I'm not familiar with those last two, at least not by title. It's really hard with New Age music sometimes to get with the title. When I used to listen to records, I would just sit there and I'd have the record and I'd look at the cover, I'd peruse every inch of it, read every word that was available, and I would memorize, what song was what. And in the digital age, I feel like that really got lost, at least for me and from some other people that I've talked to. But this is basically a remix album. So this is called Mix Up. And I don't think this was actually Patrick. It looks like remixed by a bunch of different people. So again, I don't know how much he was actually involved in the process of this. But here's what I can tell you guys. I am happy to have this in my collection. It's part of Patrick's catalog, part of the private music catalog, so for that makes me happy. However, not a fan. I listened to this and I said, okay, I will wait 10 years maybe, and then I'll listen to it again and see if I feel any different about it. The thing is about new age music is that it's really designed to elicit certain emotions. It's designed to put you in an atmosphere, at least to me. For other people, it may have a more commercial use. For me, I've actually thought about putting up Dreamscape for a remix contest, but honestly, I don't think I want to hear what people did with it. I don't like the idea of just completely changing a song like that. It's weird because I've experimented with things. I did that with my version of Lionel Richie's Hello, but that was for a much bigger production idea. Sometimes I like when they do that. Like if you listen to the soundtrack of Sucker Punch, it's amazing what they did with some of those songs. Sweet Dreams, Tomorrow Never Knows, just amazing. And I love those versions. But to take a song and just completely, put a beat to something that doesn't belong, or wasn't the idea of it, wasn't a beat. A lot of times it just doesn't work for me personally. But that's the beauty of anything really creative, is that somebody has an idea, somebody else might learn from that idea, might take it to a different direction or different level. Just because I'm the creator of something doesn't mean if somebody did something with Dreamscape and said, hey, here's how I envision your idea or whatever, it doesn't make it wrong. It just comes down to taste, whether I'm going to like it or not. And I can honestly say, and these really are some of my favorite Patrick O'Hearn songs, I didn't like any of it. I wish I did. I appreciate what the artist did with it, the directions that they took it in, but for me, it just wasn't something that I found interesting or enjoyable to listen to. So that's okay. And I remember walking down the Strip and one night in Vegas, and there was, they have just music playing all the time down there on the Strip, and they have a blanket license with ASCAP and BMI that they can just, basically they pay a fee, they can play whatever. And so they were playing White Flag by Dido, which is a very strange choice for, some place where you're trying to generate excitement and joy and get people all pumped up and spending money in that thing. This depressing, gut-wrenching song, which I think is an absolutely beautiful song. I really do love it. But it's an emotional journey, that song. You wouldn't think that they would play that, but the version that they played had a beat to it, and it was like, and I'm like, what the hell? I don't understand that concept. I mean, lyrically it doesn't work. Musically with the strings and everything, it just didn't really work for me. And again, I don't disparage people seeing vision in work and being inspired and taking things in a different direction, because like I said, I mean, I'm a creator, but that doesn't mean that somebody couldn't be inspired by something I did to take it in another direction, just like I could do that with something else, like I did with my Haunted Holidays albums. But I don't know, it just, I don't get the idea of taking a song like that, or like In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins, which I've also heard a dance beat to. It just, from an emotional standpoint, those songs have a certain atmosphere to them, a certain point to them. And because they're lyrical, because they can't really be reinterpreted story-wise, I don't think that kind of music really works with that kind of a lyric. So I didn't care for that. But again, I mean, I'm one person with my opinion. So do what you're going to do, feel what you're going to feel, be inspired by everything. Don't be afraid to take it in new directions. There's an audience for it out there. It's a matter of connecting with that audience. Obviously, that audience is not going to be me, but that's okay, because I'm one person of however many billions we have on this planet at this point. But anyway, Mix Up, I'm happy to have it in my collection just the same. part of the Patrick O'Hearn series. So there it is. But I do have 2 more albums in the can on my shelves right now that I'll have for the next couple of days. We'll see when things arrive, and we'll go from there. I hope you guys are having a great day. Happy Friday. I hope you have some wonderful plans. There is a killer thunderstorm going on outside. Rain is pouring down, and I'm trying to figure out which animals to collect first. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Cheers.